The hidden truth behind success, a CEO's secret mission to uncover the truth. Welcome to another story that reveals the power of humility, respect, and integrity in the workplace. Today, we delve into the life of a man who rose from humble beginnings to build an empire, only to uncover troubling truths within his own business. This is a story of deception, justice, and redemption, a reminder that respect should never be reserved for a select few. Sit back and join us as we unfold the journey of Charles Williams in The Hidden Truth Behind Success, a CEO's secret mission to uncover the truth. Charles Williams, a 48-year-old African-American entrepreneur, was the mastermind behind Bluestone Bistro, a chain of upscale restaurants flourishing across Boston. Known for his meticulous attention to detail and a heart that valued hard work, Charles had turned his first small cafe into a nationwide brand. With his success, Charles ensured that his restaurants were not just places to dine but spaces where employees could grow. But during a 6-month business expansion trip to San Francisco, reports reached him about concerning behavior at one of his flagship locations in downtown Boston. Stories of mistreatment, favoritism, and a toxic work environment made their way to his desk, sparking his curiosity and concern. Determined to see the truth for himself, Charles hatched a plan. Rather than confronting his staff directly, he decided to disguise himself as a low-level worker, allowing him to observe the team unnoticed. Early one Monday morning, Charles arrived at Bluestone Bistro in worn-out clothes, a faded gray t-shirt, and an oversized cap pulled low over his face. He introduced himself as Charlie, a new hire in the dishwashing team, reporting to the kitchen manager. As he moved through the bustling kitchen, he noticed the clear divide between the high-status chefs and the rest of the staff. Within the first few hours, Charles witnessed scenes that both disheartened and angered him. At the helm of the kitchen was Mark Davidson, the executive chef, who held an air of superiority. When a young Latina waitress accidentally bumped into Mark while carrying a tray, he scowled and barked, "Watch where you're going, or find another job." Her apology was met with a dismissive wave, while others averted their gaze, unwilling to speak up. Later, Charles was scrubbing pans when Amanda, the general manager, stormed into the kitchen. She eyed him with disdain, pointing to a pile of dirty linens in the corner. "What are you standing there for? Pick those up and take them to the laundry," she snapped. Charles nodded, silently complying, though the venom in her tone was unmistakable. As the day wore on, Charles realized that the culture at Bluestone Bistro had deteriorated into one where power was abused, and respect was a rarity. His heart sank further when he overheard a group of servers whispering about how they avoided shifts to escape the toxic behavior of their managers. Determined to uncover more, Charles decided this was only the beginning of his investigation. He needed to see how these senior staff members behaved in different scenarios and how deeply rooted the issues were within his restaurant. The stage was set, and Charles's undercover mission had only just begun. Charles's first day undercover revealed enough to unsettle him, but he knew that a single day wouldn't expose the full depth of the problems at Bluestone Bistro. Determined to dig deeper, he decided to adopt another role, one that would allow him to observe the senior staff more closely. The next morning, Charles returned in a new disguise, a delivery driver for a supplier. Wearing a faded polo shirt and khakis, he loaded a dolly with boxes of fresh produce and supplies. His plan was to deliver to the staff during their scheduled management meeting, a time when their guard would be down. If there was toxicity among the leaders, it would show when they thought they were safe behind closed doors. As Charles wheeled his cart into the back entrance, He passed by a group of servers taking a break. One of them, a young man named Luis, whispered, "Good luck in there, man. They don't even treat delivery drivers like humans." His words lingered in Charles's mind as he approached the conference room. Charles knocked lightly before entering. The room grew silent as the managers turned to look at him. At the head of the table sat Mark Davidson, the executive chef, his arms crossed and his expression twisted with annoyance. Amanda, the general manager, leaned back in her chair, eyeing Charles with thinly veiled disdain. "Yes," Mark snapped, his tone sharp. "What do you need?" Charles kept his demeanor neutral. "Just delivering supplies," he said calmly, gesturing to the boxes. Amanda waved a hand dismissively. "Fine, put him over there and don't take all day," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. As Charles moved to unload the boxes, he couldn't help but notice the whispers and chuckles among the managers. "You know," Amanda said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "these drivers must think this is some glamorous job. They get to walk in here like they're part of the team." Mark laughed, adding, "Yeah, but they couldn't last a day in the kitchen. Real work isn't for everyone." The group erupted into laughter, each remark more belittling than the last. Charles, keeping his composure, finished unloading the supplies, but he wasn't just delivering boxes, he was absorbing every word, every glance, every gesture. As he left the room, Charles overheard Amanda say, "Honestly, if we keep hiring people like him, this place is going downhill fast." Her words stung, not because they were directed at him personally, but because they reflected an attitude that poisoned the very culture Charles had worked so hard to build. On his way back through the kitchen, Charles paused to speak briefly with a dishwasher named Maria. She hesitated, glancing around nervously before whispering, "It's like this every day. They don't care about us. We're invisible unless they need someone to blame." Charles nodded, his resolve strengthening. He realized this wasn't just about a few bad attitudes, it was a systemic issue, deeply embedded in the restaurant's culture. That evening, Charles returned home and reflected on what he had seen and heard over the past 2 days. The staff he had trusted to uphold the values of Bluestone Bistro had betrayed those ideals. They had fostered an environment where disrespect thrived, and hard work went unappreciated. But Charles wasn't one to back down from a challenge. He decided it was time to confront the truth and hold his staff accountable. However, he knew this had to be done carefully. He would call a meeting with the senior staff, not as Charlie, the dishwasher or delivery driver, but as Charles Williams, the owner of Bluestone Bistro. The plan was set. Tomorrow, he would reveal his true identity and demand answers. More importantly, he would lay the foundation for change. The sun had barely risen when Charles stepped into his office. No longer in disguise, dressed in his usual tailored suit, he exuded authority and confidence as he prepared for what would be one of the most pivotal moments in the history of Bluestone Bistro. His experiences over the past 2 days had been eye-opening, and he knew that confronting the management team would either mark the beginning of a new era or the end of their tenure. Charles called for an emergency meeting, instructing all senior staff to report to the conference room immediately. Word of the sudden meeting spread quickly, and confusion rippled through the restaurant. Managers exchanged puzzled glances as they filed into the room, whispering theories about the purpose of the gathering. Mark Davidson and Amanda took their seats near the head of the table, their usual air of superiority intact. Mark leaned back, muttering to Amanda, "Must be another corporate pep talk. Waste of time if you ask me." The room quieted as Charles entered. The managers froze in their seats, their faces registering a mix of surprise and unease. They were used to seeing Charles in photos on the wall or in the media, not walking into their conference room unannounced. Without a word, Charles approached the head of the table. Mark, who had claimed the seat, scoffed but moved aside reluctantly. Charles sat down, his gaze steady as he surveyed the room. "Good morning," he began, his tone calm but firm. "I'm Charles Williams, the owner of Bluestone Bistro. I believe some of you already know me, though perhaps not as well as you think." The room was silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Charles paused for effect before continuing. "Over the past 2 days, I've been here among you, not as your employer, but as a dishwasher and a delivery driver. I saw how you treat people you consider beneath you, and I have to say, I'm deeply disappointed." The managers exchanged nervous glances. Mark's face turned pale, while Amanda's expression hardened, her confidence faltering. Charles stood, his voice growing sharper. "Mark," he said, fixing his gaze on the executive chef, "I watched you belittle a young waitress for an innocent mistake. You called her careless and made her feel small in front of her peers. Amanda," he continued, turning to the general manager, "you mocked me when I delivered supplies, treating me as if I were invisible. And let's not forget your words about our staff, calling them replaceable and unimportant." A murmur spread through the room as the weight of Charles's accusations settled in. Some managers shifted uncomfortably, while others avoided his piercing gaze. Mark tried to regain his composure, forcing a smug smile. "With all due respect, Mr. Williams, you only saw a small part of what we do. Running a kitchen is stressful, and sometimes things get misinterpreted." Charles's eyes narrowed. "Misinterpreted? Is that what you call mocking your employees and treating them like they're less than human?" "What I witnessed wasn't a bad day or a misunderstanding. It was a culture of disrespect that you allowed to fester." Amanda interjected, her voice defensive. "We were just joking around. No one takes it seriously." "Is that what you told Maria?" Charles shot back, his voice laced with anger. "The dishwasher you humiliated yesterday? She didn't think it was a joke. Neither did Luis or the dozens of other staff members who endure this behavior every single day." The room fell silent, the weight of Charles's words hanging heavy in the air. Charles took a deep breath, his tone softening but remaining resolute. "This is not what I built Bluestone Bistro to be. When I started this business, it was about more than just food. It was about creating a place where everyone, from the dishwashers to the managers, felt valued and respected." Somewhere along the way, that vision was lost. He turned to the group, his gaze unyielding. "Today, that changes." Charles outlined his plan to rebuild the restaurant's culture. He announced mandatory training sessions on leadership, communication, and respect. He introduced a new employee feedback system, ensuring that every voice, no matter their position, would be heard. Finally, he addressed the elephant in the room. "To those of you who cannot align with these values, your time here is over. I will not tolerate toxic behavior in my business. This is your opportunity to prove that you can do better." Mark opened his mouth to protest, but the look in Charles's eyes silenced him. Amanda stared at the table, her earlier confidence completely shattered. The other managers sat frozen, unsure of how to respond. From this moment on, Charles concluded, Bluestone Bistro will be a place where respect is not a privilege, it's a right. And I will be watching to make sure that happens. With that, Charles walked out of the room, leaving behind a group of managers who were now acutely aware that the status quo would no longer be tolerated. Over the following weeks, changes swept through Bluestone Bistro. Some managers resigned, unable to adapt to the new standards. Others embraced the opportunity to grow, working harder to create a positive environment. Employees began to notice the difference. A workplace once riddled with fear and disrespect was slowly becoming one of support and collaboration. Charles's undercover mission had revealed the flaws in his business, but it also sparked a transformation. He knew the journey wasn't over, but he was determined to ensure that Bluestone Bistro lived up to the values it was founded on. In the end, Charles's actions served as a reminder that leadership is not just about success, it's about standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Let this story inspire us all to treat others with kindness, respect, and dignity, no matter their role or background. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share to help spread positivity and inspire change. Charles's story is more than just a tale of a CEO uncovering toxic behavior, it's a testament to the power of accountability, leadership, and the belief that every individual deserves respect. By stepping into the shoes of his employees, Charles not only exposed the flaws within his business but also demonstrated that change starts at the top. His actions remind us that no matter how successful we become, humility and compassion should always guide our decisions. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to overlook the struggles of those around us. Charles's journey challenges us to reflect on how we treat others, whether they're co-workers, friends, or strangers. Always respect others, regardless of their role or position. Kindness costs nothing but can mean everything to someone else. Accountability, whether you're in a position of power or part of a team. Hold yourself and others accountable for fostering a positive environment. Empathy, take a moment to see the world through someone else's eyes. You never know what battles they might be fighting. Let's strive to build communities and workplaces where everyone feels valued and supported. Together, we can create a world where respect and compassion aren't just ideals but everyday realities. If this story moved you, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated with the most inspiring and thought-provoking stories we share. Absolutely free. Right finger click that subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to hear our latest tales. And don't forget to like and share this video to spread the message of positivity and change. Thank you for being part of this journey. Together, we can create a kinder, more compassionate world. Stay tuned for more stories that inspire and uplift.